From a restaurant's point of view, having all this stuff in one place could definitely be attractive.
The big challenge is I finish my meal, I want to pay. It's actually, there's a lot of friction with that. There's a lot of startups that have tried to solve that. My prediction would be that now we see OpenTable go and make a pretty big sized acquisition in the point of sale space. OpenTable is owned by Booking.com. It was acquired for maybe $1 or $2 billion a few years ago. Yep. Not a too material acquisition. But what is interesting is OpenTable is definitely the most dominant reservation platform for restaurants in the United States. It's a global company as well. Booking.com owns Priceline.com and a bunch of other businesses that we've talked about. Basically, Booking.com and Expedia are the two large, hotel marketplaces, and they do air flights.
Booking.com
and all these
has
other
a
things.
few of these kind of booking type sites, as well as they've started to do more kind of alternative accommodations. Yep. I would say less strictly Airbnb style, people renting out homes, and more like kind of bed and breakfast or say non-traditional hotel accommodations. Yeah. That they're using basically is say, oh, hey, we have an Airbnb competitor.
And Booking is in Plaid. So this is what I thought was interesting is you're seeing a convergence in the food industry. You're seeing it American Express by Resy. You're seeing Caviar actually get acquired out of Square. So you're seeing consolidation in the food delivery marketplace space. Now what you're seeing is OpenTable come in, the dominant restaurant reservation platform, come in and say, hey, we're going to do food delivery, but we're not going to try and handle, because really the food delivery marketplaces are a three-sided marketplace. I have the customer, the restaurant, and then the third-party courier delivery contractor. And what OpenTable is saying, I'm just going to partner with Caviar, Grubhub, and Uber Eats to do all the fulfillment to these stores, and I'm sure help give them the menus and the inventory and all that kind of stuff. But you've gotten all now, I argue, probably the three largest players in food delivery. What Delivery Hero is not here. But the other, three large players agreeing to come onto this. And it just rolled out. And I'm sure there's some rev share and that kind of stuff. But to me, that, this is really the beginning of OpenTable getting into, I'd say, a much more holistic offering of going end to end of catering to the restaurant, right? It was, I'm going to help you now bring people into the store, right? Now this is saying, well, I think their example was if it's raining and you don't want to go there, I'm still going to let you now order food from the restaurant.
I definitely see some natural synergy here. If you're saying, I'm going to cancel my reservation because it's raining. It's just one example. Okay, you want to order food, takeout or delivery from there instead. Way for that restaurant to keep that business. From a restaurant's point of view, having all this stuff in one place could definitely be attractive.
Yep. And the interesting thing with OpenTable is that the economics of their platform actually aren't that good. I think they would charge at a time they were charging $1 for every person that books, or comes to a restaurant. That's changed. But you would think for OpenTable, which has, I'd say, such a dominant role in restaurant bookings, that when they were acquired for $1 or $2 billion, it seemed low to me. And I think that just came down to the way the economics and the food industry just has such low margins.
Right.
And so the interesting thing that we see with the food delivery marketplaces is they're actually taking a decent size cut. Definitely north of 10%. From what I've heard, it's around maybe 15%. Could be more in certain cases, which is a much heftier cut of the overall revenue pie.
Right.
And so I think that's one thing that's interesting to OpenTable is trying to dip their toe into that arena. What I would not be surprised to see OpenTable do next is to say, okay, how could I now do things around point of sale systems?
Mm-hmm.
How could I now go much deeper into the restaurant essentially kind of entire life cycle of all these different apps and technologies that are coming in? There are some mega restaurant point of sale tech startups. I mean, but these companies are raising mega rounds for restaurant point of sales.
Yeah, I think OpenTable has some integrations with these various systems. I think one of the startups that has done very well, Toast, for example, they have a Toast integration. So you can tie back to if you have an existing point of sale system.
Toast has raised $500 million.
Yep.
Point of sale system, linear, SaaS.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about OpenTable's business too is about half of the revenue, I think, or somewhere close to that, is SaaS. The other half is basically the transaction revenue from facilitating bookings and then getting basically a lead gen fee for every booking that actually shows up.
Right.
But a lot of that revenue is still basically this booking system that they give to restaurants that you can basically run as kind of your back end system for managing bookings and who goes where and tables and that kind of stuff. And so it's a mix of a business, which is why at their valuation it's not treated as a pure platform business, partly because they have a lot of SaaS revenue.
Right.
But I could see point of sale being an extension of that in terms of the services they offer to restaurants. I
think that's the missing link, because the big challenge is I finish my meal.
Right.
I want to pay. It's actually, there's a lot of friction with that. There's a lot of startups that have tried to solve that. There's like some other startups that have come and gone by now that were trying to just make that seamless, that payment. And Toast, these companies aren't even really doing that. They're just giving them a better point of sale terminal.
Yep.
And then, they have a mobile thing that they can bring over to the table and you can plug your credit card into it, which Europe had been doing for years before the US. But my prediction would be that now we see OpenTable go via Booking.com and make a pretty big sized acquisition in the point of sale space. And I think that would be really interesting and really give them a holistic package to the restaurant. Very hard to go head to head with that combination.
Yeah, I think the challenge for them is that, why they never grew beyond where they did. They never really expanded beyond that kind of main core transaction of booking to expand to other stuff related to that. Booking.com bought them because they thought, if people are going and traveling a lot, what else are they doing there? They're making restaurant reservations and booking. There's a lot of overlap between those two user bases. So the synergies there are why they eventually got bought by Booking, which is, of course, expanding into multiple different kind of core transactions and platform types. But to see Booking basically take OpenTable and continue to expand that would help justify that acquisition.
Hi, this is Alex Mozed. Thanks for joining us on Winner Take All. If you enjoyed the content today, which I bet you did, please comment, subscribe, and definitely message me on Twitter when we're doing live streams. Also, please note, all opinions expressed about stocks or public companies on the show are exactly that, opinions. This is not investment advice. Don't act on it. WisdomTree licensed Applico's Platform Insights data product to aid in the creation of the Platt ETF. Thanks for joining us.